The night was so dark that the prison walls looked like the edges of a giant shadow. The guards at Kentucky State Penitentiary thought everything was normal, but deep inside the prison yard, something unbelievable was happening. 2 inmates, real men, not movie characters, were sliding through a narrow hole they carved behind an old utility shed. Their hearts were pounding like drums. Sweat ran down their faces, even though the night was cold. One of them, Michael Harding, whispered, "This is it. No turning back." The other, Ray Johnson, pressed his ear against the ground. He was listening for footsteps, for any sign that a guard was nearby. Nothing, only silence. They crawled out from the shed, looked up, and saw the final obstacle, the outer wall, tall, deadly, wrapped in metal fencing. But they had planned for this. They had created a rope out of bed sheets, knotted tight, tested again and again. Ray threw one end upward, the hook catching the fence. And just as Michael began climbing, a searchlight snapped on. A beam of white light flashed across the yard. It stopped, paused, then slowly began moving toward them. Ray's voice cracked. "Mike, hurry!" Michael climbed faster, fingers burning as he pulled himself upward. The rope swayed. The light came closer. A guard's voice shouted something they couldn't hear. Michael reached the top of the wall. Cut metal, jagged edges, a place where they had sawed to the wire weeks earlier. But just as Ray grabbed the rope to climb next, the loudest siren in the entire prison exploded across the night. Wheel, wheel, wheel. Ray froze. Michael looked down from the top of the wall, eyes wide. The yard lit up like a stadium. Footsteps thundered from every corner of the prison. The guard were coming. Michael yelled, "Ray, go! Go now!" And that is where everything changed. That is the moment that made people call this escape the real Shawshank. But how did 2 inmates manage to get this far? How did they even think about escaping one of the toughest prisons in the United States? And what happened the moment that siren began to scream? To understand that, we must go back to months before the escape, before anyone knew this night was coming. Michael Harding arrived at Kentucky State Penitentiary in the spring of 1999. He stepped off the transport bus in handcuffs, chains shining in the sun. He wasn't a violent man. He wasn't someone who liked trouble, but he had made a terrible mistake, one bad decision that changed his whole life. He had driven the getaway car during a robbery his friend planned. A clerk got hurt during the crime. Michael hadn't wanted anyone to get injured, but the court didn't care. He was charged as an accomplice and sentenced to 20 years in prison. Ray Johnson arrived a few weeks later. Ray was different. He had a sharp mind, strong arms, and a calm face that never seemed scared. Ray had been in trouble before, stealing cars, breaking into houses, running from police. He had been in and out of jail since he was a teenager. This time, he was sentenced to 15 years. Ray and Michael met in the prison workshop, cutting wood and sanding boards for hours every day. At first, they barely spoke. Michael kept to himself. Ray watched everyone, studying who was dangerous, who was trustworthy, who could turn on him. One afternoon, Ray said quietly, "You're new, you're scared. Everyone can see it. You better learn fast or someone's going to eat you alive in here." Michael didn't answer. "You're not built for this place," Ray continued. "But that's not your fault." For a moment, Ray's voice softened. "Nobody is." That was the start of their unlikely friendship. Life inside Kentucky State Penitentiary was rough. Inmates shouted day and night. Fights happened for tiny reasons. Someone looked at someone wrong. Someone took the wrong seat in the chow hall. Someone bumped a shoulder in a hallway. Guards yelled at men like they were animals. Doors slammed, metal clanged. Alarms beeped. Every day felt the same. Every day felt like a piece of time being stolen. Michael felt himself slipping into hopelessness. He wrote letters to his mom, but she rarely wrote back. His girlfriend stopped visiting. His lawyer said the case was closed. Nothing could be done. Ray noticed Michael's sadness, and one day whispered something no one had ever said to him. "You don't belong in here. You need a way out." Michael looked up. "A way out? What are you talking about?" Ray leaned close. "I've been watching this place for months. The guards, the cameras, the schedules. and the old utility shed in the yard, the one nobody pays attention to. Michael's heart skipped. Ray, are you saying? Ray nodded slowly. Yeah, I'm saying escape. At first, Michael shook his head. No, that's crazy. No one escapes this place. Ray smiled in a quiet, cold way. Someone always escapes. You just need the right plan. And Ray had a plan. The first low part of their story came when they tried to test how long it took guards to walk each section of the yard. They would watch from the workshop window, counting steps and listening to keys jingling. One wrong move could get them beaten, thrown into solitary confinement, or worse. But every day, Ray kept gathering information. He counted cameras. He watched how guards got lazy after midnight. He noticed when the lights flickered on windy nights. The highest high came when Ray discovered something shocking. Behind the old utility shed was a patch of dirt that stayed soft even when the rest of the yard was hard and dry. That meant water ran beneath it, which meant a pipe or drain system. A weak spot, a possible way under the fence. Ray whispered, "We dig a little each night. Just a little. If anyone checks, it won't look fresh. They'll think it's animals." Michael swallowed hard. "Ray, if they catch us." "They won't," Ray said, "if we're careful." And so their secret work began. Every night after lights out, they snuck from their bunks, grabbed tools they had carefully hidden. Small metal pieces stolen from the workshop, sharpened spoons, broken broom handles, and slowly chipped away at the dirt behind the shed. The digging was slow, painful, silent. They worked in darkness. They took turns scooping dirt into their pockets, dumping it behind trash bins, flushing tiny amounts down toilets. It took weeks before the hole was deep enough to crawl into. One night, while Ray squeezed inside the hole to check the progress, Michael kept watch. He heard footsteps and froze. A guard was walking toward the shed, flashlight shining. Michael's chest burned with fear. If the guard stepped just 2 more feet, he would see Ray's feet sticking out of the dirt. Michael coughed loudly, pretending to retie his shoe. The guard turned the light on him. "What are you doing out here?" the guard demanded. Michael stuttered. "Sir, I dropped my ID badge somewhere here. I can't go back inside without it." The guard groaned. "Find it fast, and don't let me see you wandering again." He walked away. Ray crawled out a hole, breathing hard. "Mike, you saved me." Michael whispered, "That was too close?" Ray nodded. "Yeah, but we keep going." Their biggest setback came when the prison installed a new camera near the yard. If it turned only a few inches more, it would see the shed and their digging spot. Michael wanted to quit. "It's too risky," he said. Ray grabbed his arm. "If you quit now, you die in here. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But this place eats you slowly. Don't let it." Michael closed his eyes. He thought of his wasted future. He whispered, "Okay, I'm with you." Finally, after months of planning, digging, studying, and waiting, the escape day arrived. July 3rd, 2000, the night before Independence Day. Fireworks would explode outside the prison, covering noise. Guards would be distracted with holiday shifts. It was the perfect moment. At 1:17 a.m., Michael and Ray slipped out of their bunks. They moved through shadows, keeping low, breathing slow, hearts beating so hard they thought the guards would hear them. They reached the shed, slid into the dirt tunnel, crawled through darkness, came out on the other side, under the outer fence. They were free, almost. They had only one thing left to do, climb the final wall. But that was when the searchlight turned on. That was when the guard shouted. That was when the siren screamed across the night. Ray was at the bottom of the wall. Michael was at the top. Guards were running toward them. Dogs were being released. Spotlights rained down. Michael yelled, "Climb! Climb now!" Ray grabbed the rope with shaking hands. And just as he lifted his foot to start climbing, a gunshot exploded through the night. The bullet hit something. But what? The rope? The wall? Or Ray himself? That was the moment their escape turned from risky to deadly. Their biggest setback came when the prison installed a new camera near the yard. If it turned only a few inches more, it would see the shed and their digging spot. Michael wanted to quit.